This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenro radio playlist. zenroclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. All right, so we'll just jump into Bond because, well, I mean, we didn't watch, not the actual movie, but like the other Bond movies that were leading up to this one because we were just watching it prior to starting. All right, let's go with the line that you wrote down because that was the most interesting thing that I noticed before we go into like who's the best Bond and all that stuff. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was when Bond asked Q, like when he gave him a gun and something. It's like he's expecting something more like tech heavy or something,
yeah.
And then he said like an exploding pen.
Yeah.
That's what Q said, and we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. It's really, that scene was so perfect. So you're talking about Bond 3, which is Skyfall.
Yeah.
So the thing that I really liked about that movie was the juxtaposition between the old and the new, because even in that line, right? So all the old Bond movies have all been like super high tech gadgety.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's why I mentioned like the exploding pen and all that. And then Q was saying like we don't do that anymore. But the other thing that I found interesting prior to that one is the line about like the new school versus the old school. Mm-hmm. And then he was saying like, oh, I can do more damage behind a computer with a T1 line or something in my PJs than you can do by yourself. Right. And he's like, so what do you need me for? Right. Mm. And like the whole movie was all about like this, like the transition from the old mechanical ways to like the new high tech ways. And like, even the main villain, right? He's using like technology to get everything destroyed.
But it was rooted in reality, kind of thing, right?
Like the movie, you mean?
Yeah, and the technology, technically.
But that's what I think was so brilliant about this movie, and that's why I think it was the most pivotal one out of all of them. Because before we get into those ones, but I think that Skyfall was like the best one because that one, it was so monumental in the ideas that it was pushing, just like old school versus new school, old Bond versus new Bond, rooted in reality. So we stopped. I wanted you to watch that last scene of him meeting the villain and the villain being gay, because I wanted to get into another thing that movie really touched upon that was where we're headed, is like this acceptance of like sexuality now. So like at the time when that movie first came out, I was watching the documentary, and he was saying how they wanted to cut that scene out because they're like, oh, Bond doesn't do that, right? Kind of like whatever, you know. But Daniel Craig's an artist, right? So he's like, no. So his version of Bond is like he doesn't want to do the suave Bond. He wanted to do a realistic Bond because he came from the like artsy world, right? So he's like, I'll only take on this role if you let me portray it in a new way. That's why he was so jacked. That's why he was so like rugged.
It was more grounded in reality.
Yeah, which is what the actor Daniel Craig is all about. Like, because if you watch the documentary, they show the movies before that one, and they were all like weird artsy movies. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
he did what he did. Okay.
So like his even going forward, you know, he did like Knives Out and stuff, but like he did Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, but those were still like kind of suave, but like before
Well, even Girl with Dragon Tattoo wasn't suave.
But he was like already Bond at that point. So he was like already like jacked.
Right. I mean,
like,
those are like other bigger roles that he did. Right.
Yeah, he did like a lot of like minor art movies, and then that's why they were ripping him when he was first cast as Bond, because like, how's this guy gonna do? He's not suave at all, blah blah blah. And then everything changed when the photo leaked of him in the Bahamas, I think it was that swimsuit scene.
Oh yeah.
When he came out of the water from the first movie.
Yeah.
So when that movie came out and they saw how jacked he was, the whole media turned from like, this guy can't do it, to like, oh, this is a new perspective of Bond, because they'd never seen a jacked Bond, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And you remember like when we were kids and Bond was first coming out, let me finish the idea about the sexuality, because I feel like now, like, I'm watching Good Girls and I saw Schitt's Creek, and they're really portraying like these new perspectives on sexuality, like transgender or being gay, as like normal.
Yeah.
So like Schitt's Creek was one of the first ones where David, the son, he was like openly gay, but he was living in a world where nobody thought it was weird. Like there was no negative portrayal of homosexuality. Right. But that's pretty new. Right. And also in Good Girls on Netflix, the main cop is gay, but it's not weird. And the daughter is like transitioning. No, she's not transitioning, but she's like a boy. She's like a girl that I don't know what you call that, but it's like she's a girl, but she identifies as a boy.
Yeah, transgender.
But she hasn't shifted yet.
No. Yeah, but
is that what that falls under?
Yeah, it still is a transgender, right?
Okay, sure. Okay, I'm not up to speed on my.
Well, it's not a
LGBTQ+.
she. She's a he, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the pronouns, I guess.
But in the show, they keep saying she, like it's my daughter.
Okay.
But like doesn't identify as a boy, but like acts like a boy. Like dresses like a boy, cuts her hair like a boy.
But then it's a bit different than it.
Yeah, so I didn't
That's
know
not
what to
really
call
transgender.
But it's not weird in the show. Again, it's not weird. So it's when she was in public school, it was weird. Like she's getting bullied, and then she moved to like private school, and like it's totally normal now. So I think that scene in Bond was so pivotal, because at that time they're pushing on an idea that, you know, not many people were in favor of. Even the director wanted that cut from the movie, right? He's like, Bond isn't gay, so he won't interact with gay things, you know?
Right. I mean, they're all afraid of like what sort of backlash would happen or something. But I think in if it again fits in the world of, you know, reality, grounded in reality,
really like with this Bond.
And I think that it makes sense that there's nothing wrong with what just like what
right
with showing that.
But at that time it was weird. But watching it back now, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked about that. Like Skyfall to me was like really.
I think I remember when we watched it in theaters, we were like,
whoa. Yeah. So all right, let's go back to the first movie, because we watched all these movies growing up. We were like, when was the first movie? The iPhones weren't even out yet.
Yeah, it was 2006, a year before the iPhone was even released, that this movie came out.
Okay. So it's so funny watching the
Casino
first
Royale.
movie.
Yeah.
What was that?
Casino Royale.
So do you remember when we were going to go watch this movie? It was me, you, Wob. I think Sid was there too. But Wob was always like, yo, I'm jacked like Daniel Craig. That became the joke, like being as jacked as Daniel Craig in Bond in the swim.
Right.
Yeah. Because that was so monumental to us. It's like, this is a totally different.
I mean, this is technically our Bond. Like,
this is our Bond. Yeah. We saw it like 2006. So we were like, I don't even remember, but it was in our adolescence.
Yeah. Like we didn't grow up. I mean, sure, we grew up, but we weren't really paying attention to like ones, the Pierce Brosnan version.
That's the Bond that I knew before.
But it was like, you know, we're still kids, right?
We didn't really like intake it. It was kind of like, oh, this is we didn't really get the whole lore of like Bond. But then when we shifted to the Daniel Craig Bond, it was more like this is the Bond of our generation. Now we're going to pay attention. We're able to like comprehend what's going on, like storylines, you know?
Yeah, I think they needed a shift. I don't think Bond would have worked anymore if it was the same way as.
I think I agree with you. Yeah. But it's interesting, because that realization is something you can only have like faith for, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. Because all of the old people were like hating on him. until they saw that picture.
Yeah,
and then they were
yeah.
like, oh, this is a new Bond that we've never seen before. Even like, it was so rugged from the very beginning. Remember, like, he was running, like, you've never seen Bond do something so physical. He was
Right.
doing like parkour.
Yeah.
He was like,
I mean, that was the start of the first movie.
Right? Yeah.
Right in the beginning.
And he's doing like a lot of like hand-to-hand combat, which you hadn't seen, which is like, he reminded me of like Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Around that time too was
Right.
when Jason Bourne came out, but like Bond is more suave than Jason Bourne, even though like his appearance is like old.
Yeah.
He looks like an old man, right? He's like so
Yeah.
right. And
Well, like beaten up kind of thing.
beaten up.
I think, but then that
yeah.
fits in the world of this
Bond,
reality, the spy reality. Probably going to
Yeah.
be like that.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And then you get into Quantum of Solace, which turned out like it came during the writer's strike, so they didn't really have a good story for that. They were saying that they were filming scenes before actually putting the story down.
Right.
Because they knew they were about to go on strike, so they're like, we need something, and then we'll just piece it together later. That's why it was like I really liked it, but it wasn't the greatest Bond. But then when we get into Skyfall, which is you pick up, it's kind of like the first one was really realistic. The second one was kind of like, it was realistic, but it was more like a Bond. It was like what you would expect from him. He's still suave.
Yeah.
But then I really like the third one where he's old now. And right, he gets shot and like he's kind of being phased out. He can't even hold on to the bottom of the elevator.
Yeah.
Remember that scene? When he's like going
Well,
to the
I mean,
top?
like especially that scene when they were going through when he comes back to MI6 and they were doing the training, and like how when everyone left the room, he just like
slumped over.
Like, oh, it was exhausting for him.
Yeah, dude. And that's what I really liked about this movie. It was like, it was so realistic. You're like, oh, you are old now. You're an old dog in like a new dog world.
Yeah, and I think it's in a way to tell the audience too, like he's also human. Like,
Yes.
like he's not like some superhero.
Yes, because all the other Bonds prior to this were, well, actually what's interesting is all the other Bonds prior to this were like more campy. They were like very funny and like he would get out of everything. He was more like, he was just
like nothing will hurt them in a way, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's
this is the first one where it was like, oh, he's superhuman.
Yeah.
Like not superhuman, but like he's really human.
Yeah.
And they got that in the first movie. Second movie, he was like still like invincible. But then when you hit this third movie, it's like the humanity of Bond is back, you know? And that's why I like this movie. But what I think is really cool, I was like explaining to your brother, because he hadn't seen Spectre yet and you didn't get there, but they jump back to the first movie because remember in Casino Royale, the dude, he's like working for a syndicate. So that's the syndicate in the fourth movie.
okay.
So like they go back and it's like, who's the one that guy in Casino Royale was working for?
Yeah.
And it turns out that they have like reach all over the world. Like they affect governments and stuff. So that's also another realistic one, but it's not, to me, it wasn't as interesting as Skyfall.
Yeah. But it's funny, it also like going back to the first movie, it's Casino Royale, it's he almost ended up, you know, like the way the story
Dying?
went. Like no, like not being Bond anymore. Like
Oh, true. It ended right.
it ended, but then the reason he came back is
that
like
is
he actually there was
so
actually a love
true.
story.
Yeah, that's true.
That he actually was leaving.
Oh, dude, I didn't even catch that. Right, he almost wasn't Bond anymore.
Yeah.
Until his like the love of his life died, and then that's when they're like, okay, he's like, okay,
Well,
my heart is closed off forever.
that in a way jaded him too, right? In a way, it's like I don't know if I can really trust people.
Yes, it shows the humanity again. Yeah, interesting. I didn't even catch that. But then what closed his heart off was when she died, and then what closed it off even more is I think it was the end of Quantum of Solace. You find out that she was still in love with the other guy, and then but that guy was playing her, right? And he was like, "Oh, I'm just wrapped up in like this is the messiness of emotion."
Yeah.
You know, at the end, he's like, "Let me just kill all emotion at this point,"
Right.
Because like he was stuck in a love triangle, he didn't even realize it. You know, I guess that's why Quantum of Solace was pivotal, because it closed his heart off even more.
Yeah.
Right. That was the end, right? He goes to meet the guy. And
Yeah.
then give the
I think
necklace.
there was the Canadian was there, right?
Yeah.
A Canadian agency person. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, interesting, right? Yeah, so Oh, and another thing about the first movie that I thought was interesting was because it was before the time of cell phones, like iPhones.
Yeah, iPhones.
I like how it just called
smartphones.
Smartphones, yeah. All phones now are smartphones. It's just cell phones. They're doing they're doing things in that movie that would be so much easier if you just had a smartphone.
Yeah.
Remember like triangulation and all that? Yeah. But like that's why Skyfall was so pivotal, because with Q now, he could do all that. Remember, he's like, oh, let me just create the routing system. Oh wait, no,
I haven't got to that part, but okay. I remember some things. Yeah, because I knew right away that this guy was Q. Like he dresses like it.
He does like a lot of like later on, when they're like fighting the villain, he's using like breadcrumbs, like digital footprints to lead him to where Bond is, but like as a trap,
right?
You know, but it's like that. If it was set in the first movie, that would have not been possible because they didn't have that kind of technology. And then even when you saw the first encounter with Bond and the villain, you saw all the servers in the room.
Yeah.
Like that's how he's becoming like a villain through like computers.
Yeah. Information.
Or information, yeah. Even remember when the girl got on the island and she's like, what he did was he did like a nuclear announcement, so everyone fled the island.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we are so dependent on, it's almost like a statement of how dependent we are on technology. Right. That like it rules us, it rules our minds more than what is really happening, you know? Because like if you think about it, remember what was it, the nuclear thing that happened in Hawaii? It was an accident,
yeah, was it nuclear or missile? I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Missile defense.
People were so sad they had to choose like, where am I going to go in the next 10 minutes? Like, who do I call?
Right. Yeah.
Like, but it's just like Skyfall. Yeah. We forget that, you know. Like Skyfall was like a predictor of where things could go, which is like if you're overly dependent on technology, you're kind of screwed. Yeah, but then Spectre. You haven't gotten there yet, but
no.
It's more about like economic systems, because the people and how it's like almost like the Illuminati. It's kind of like the Illuminati, the idea of the Illuminati, which is like a powerhouse is running the world, like
running the world,
through money, you know. So that's really interesting as well. Yeah, it makes sense why Daniel Craig wanted to take on these projects, you know, because they're extremely realistic, like we kept saying.
Yeah, you know? Grounded in reality. I think that was what was very different from all the other ones.
Totally.
Yeah,
hands down, best Bond
at the moment. Yeah.
who do you think is going to be the next Bond? I'm so curious because they kept throwing out names like Idris Elba, Tom Hardy. But I feel like these people are too old.
No, yeah, I think Idris Elba might be too old. And Tom Hardy just doesn't fit for that kind of thing.
There's another one that they were talking about, the Crazy Rich Asians guy.
Yeah. Again, it's the type of story they want to tell, right? Like, are they going to do a new phase for Bond? Like, how are they?
That's true. Because are you going to do, like, what is your next hook? Like, for us, it was reality. Are you going to go back to fantasy?
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. I don't know how that would work, and if it would even work at all.
Yeah, would people appreciate it? Because, like, I'd say Daniel Craig set the bar super high.
Or, I mean, like, it's a shift to, like, why necessarily a male Bond, right?
That's the other thing, too. Yeah. Like, it might be a female Bond. But even if it was a female Bond, it's like, do you still ground in reality? Like, how are you going to do this? Or maybe they just continue it with the... like, I haven't seen the new movie yet, but the black girl in the movie that works with Bond, and she's like the new version of Bond.
The new movie you're talking about.
In the newest movie, yeah.
Yeah,
there's like an agent. You see the commercials, right?
Yeah.
So like, what if she takes over as Bond? So it's almost like a handoff. Like, we're still keeping the same characters.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
That might be kind of cool too, because it's like, then when she's done, do they just create a new, like, 007? Because 007's a title, right?
Yeah, it's just a...
Yeah. I think that'd be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Actually, wouldn't that be that'll probably be the first time, like, where we see someone before being Bond?
True. Oh, well, Well, technically, we did see Daniel Craig before being Bond, because he wasn't Bond yet.
Yeah, but it was like
No. Actually, we only saw like 4 seconds, because when the first mission happened, he was already 007 status.
Yeah,
but just the first like.
I'm saying like in the same
movie.
like
like a handoff.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's true. That would be pretty interesting. I could see that. That'd be pretty cool. I'd be really interested to see if that's where they take it. Because how can you just like clean the slate and then start fresh with a whole new Bond? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that almost would that'll almost make it look stupid at that point. You know what I mean? It's like you built up these amazing characters, and then all of a sudden you just like you're like, never mind, none of that happened.
Well, unless there's a conclusion to a story, right?
But you built up so many amazing characters within the series. Like, all right, so you didn't finish Skyfall, but here's why I was like, this is really interesting. So in Skyfall, Mallory.
Yep.
So M dies.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. It's been so many years, but M dies, the old lady, and then Mallory becomes the new M. Mm-hmm. And then the black girl who like the sexual tension between them, she becomes Moneypenny, which is in the old Bonds, she's like the secretary of M. So then she becomes the secretary of Mallory. Mm-hmm. So like at the end, they basically set up like what is the old perception of Bond, which is like he has an M, the secretary's Moneypenny, and then he does all of his missions for them. Right, so it's like you just set up the whole storyline for that. You gave them all like backstories. Like, how could you just wipe that away?
Yeah. So if that's yeah. So if that's the case, maybe it's like a continuation, but with another person. Like he stepped down.
Yeah, I'm calling that one because it's almost like they set that whole thing up to be like that.
Yeah.
Because then, if that's the case, then for the new Bond, if let's say it's the black girl, she ends up using more gadgets. Then they can go into that more fantasy world, because like, yeah, we had the old dog that we got rid of, and then now here's what the new school looks like. You know, she'll probably be like a SWAT team person with like high-tech gadgets and like radar, because it wouldn't be weird now. But if they did that for Daniel Craig, it would be weird because he'd have to learn it. He doesn't seem like a technology kind of guy.
That's true.
You know. So we'll see in this new movie if she becomes like high tech, because then it's like maybe that is where they're going to go with it.
Well, we'll have to find out.
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, until we see the story, right? Like
I guess
that's the only way to really know. But like that's what their people were saying, right, or something like that.
Which
like the black
she would take over.
Yeah, or like is she a new Bond? Or but I don't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are just assumptions.
But like from the interviews that I've been seeing, it's like they don't want that. They don't like the. But it's almost all right. So like the regular people don't want that, because they're like, well, Bond is a male. Blah blah. Blah. You're breaking the archetype of a.
Oh, they're gonna keep. Bond. Yeah, but they broke it.
So what I'm saying is like, the audience that in marketing they say like, your consumer doesn't know what they want. You have to educate them on what they want. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you might say that now, but then you see how amazing she is, and you're like, damn, actually, that'd be really cool.
Exactly.
That would be okay. I'm getting pretty stoked if that is the handoff. You know. Yeah, but we'll see. Because I really like this world, so it'd be sad to see it go away, and then it's like you just have to rewatch these if you want to jump back in.
Yeah.
Well, especially because you know how like we as a society now watch everything in long form, like Game of Thrones, right? You watch everything as like a series, you know. So, and every episode of Game of Thrones is like an hour. It's almost like its own movie. So like, it would make sense if they followed that storyline of this person, because that's what we're used to streaming wise now. We're used to like long series of. So then you could almost go back to the first Bond, and then you could watch them all as like a TV series, all the movies.
Yeah, kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, right? So it's like it wouldn't be such a stretch of the imagination to continue on with this world. Yeah.
I think so. I think it'll be like that.
Yeah, I'm banking on that too. That makes the most sense. Like, it seems kind of weird that you would get rid of this franchise now. And you were saying Calypso
actor.
Yeah. So when you're watching the third one, you're like, oh, that's Calypso, and I was like, oh, that's what you meant. From like, if you listened to last week, we were trying to figure out that girl's name because she was in Venom as well.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize it was the same person.
Yeah, it's the same person.
Yeah,
she's got that accent.
Yeah, that's true. But I didn't really put it together. I was just like, I thought it was just a random actor, like her.
Okay.
But so it's like, so just like the Venom series, right? You had Woody Harrelson, Calypso.
Well, it's not her.
Calypso.
I don't know her movie name, but I name it's Calypso from.
All right, we'll call her Calypso. And then you have Tom Hardy. How can you get rid of the Venom universe as well? Because you're setting it up. Like we were talking about last week, like if Tom Hardy joins the Spider-Man world, you know, because of the multiverse, he has to be able to go back into his own world, because then that franchise is done. You just lost a bunch of money.
Yeah, of course. I think eventually it'll fix the timeline. That's what the
right.
Or the multiverse.
So like with Bond, it's like you have all these amazing actors that you've set up, and then just to get rid of that franchise, you've lost a bunch of money again to start fresh.
Yeah. Again. Yeah.
Like as a business move, I couldn't see them shifting away from this one.
I'm not sure. Not necessarily, because just the Bond itself as a franchise has been there for a long time.
Okay, fair point.
Right, where they've done shifts, right?
But the difference between those old ones is like the storyline wasn't threaded. They were like just standalone Bond movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, Bond's got this adventure now. Bond's got this adventure. But the way they like wrapped everything together, just like even Spectre, right, goes back to the first movie, because now you're taking on the Syndicate.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you're really giving us a lot of like foundational growth. Like you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like as an investment, I couldn't see them getting rid of it so easily.
No, I mean, that's why they haven't, right? In what I mean by that is like, it's been, I don't know if this is he done the most amount of Bond movies?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe so, that'd be interesting to figure out.
Yeah. So if that's the case, if he did, for example, if he did, then it's like they wanted to continue the story, right? Till the end point for Daniel Craig.
Oh, okay.
Bond.
Oh, so it's almost like it's like wrapped up. So you think that this whole universe of Bond is just going to wrap up?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like economically, business-wise, I don't see it, but if they could do that and then just start a whole new, it would be sad to do that, because like you like certain characters at this point, you know?
Sure, yeah, but it's mainly, I think you're only mainly liking Bond, right?
No, but even the handoff, like you haven't seen the end of Skyfall yet, but like the handoff between the old M and the new M,
sure,
that's really cool. It's
no,
like,
I understand that.
Sick.
No, I understand that, but that's in Skyfall. We still have Spectre and then one other movie, right?
Yeah. Oh, so it's like, oh, maybe we give them a send off too.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how the other Bonds transitioned. If there was any kind of thing,
it was like
no. But what I'm saying is, like, where is there like different style of telling the story? If when Sean Connery was Bond and then Pierce Brosnan was Bond,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, are they doing another shift like that?
Oh,
if it's like a female Bond and then.
Yeah, but then I don't know. To reintroduce the character. All right. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, at least what we know is this No Time to Die is the end of Daniel Craig's Bond.
That's what we do know.
Yeah.
It's the end of Daniel Craig. He was actually not going to do he wasn't going to do No Time to Die. Mm-hmm. And I was watching the documentary, right, and they were like, at the end of Spectre, they're like, do you want to do another Bond movie? He's like, no. So, because he was done. He also broke his leg during that filming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the whole movie, he was like, for most of the filming, he was like hurt, and he had to do like some crazy fight scenes, and he didn't want to hand it off to the stunt doubles.
Yeah, okay.
Because it looks better. Like, he's like, I could just do it myself, but everything was like killing him because he's broken while he's filming it.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like he's already like old and like weak in Skyfall, and we still got 2 more movies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And what's interesting too is like Inspector. The reason why the opening scene is like walking is because like you haven't seen it, but like you'll notice that it's all like he's like walking instead of like he's like walking as a spy. But they did that on purpose because his leg was broken. So they're like, okay, you don't have to do any action sequences in the beginning. Just like, yeah,
okay,
yeah. So we'll see. What were you?
The amount of Bond movies.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's Sean Connery and Roger Moore did 7.
7. Okay, cool.
Daniel Craig did 5.
5, yeah.
He's in the 3rd spot.
Well, what about Pierce Brosnan?
4.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. So who knows? Maybe it will.
Yeah.
They might just wipe the slate clean.
Mm.
But given the audience, the nature of audiences,
at
now,
least
I don't think so.
I mean, start a fresh story, maybe, but I think it'll still be in this type of reality.
Like keeping it real.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, why don't you just keep all like you just?
They might do that. Yeah, that might be the shift, right?
Yeah, like
that
you just got Q, man, in the 3rd movie.
Right.
And Q is so cool, you know. Like I feel like there are so many characters that people like, aside from Daniel Craig, because it's like a really cool universe that they've created. Mm-hmm. It just seems like a waste to me if you just got rid of everyone. Because you'd have to introduce a new Q, you'd have to introduce a new M, you'd have to introduce a new Bond,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
we'll see.
Anyways, anything else about Bond?
No, so far good. I'm hoping to finish prior to watching.
Yeah,
No Time to Die.
So. We're watching that Tuesday. I'm checking out tonight with my dad. Mm-hmm. Oh, they lifted. Just quickly, they lifted all restrictions for indoor capacity. I saw that on the news yesterday. As of midnight yesterday, this morning, indoor venues like movie theaters and stuff, there's no more capacity limits. So you can get full capacity again, as long as you're double vax. Well, all places with double vax, you can like fill up.
Okay. Yeah.
To the capacity. So like movie theaters, how we had like blocked off sections.
Okay.
So now they're going to
Wait, it takes into effect already?
Yeah, I think it was like midnight tonight.
Okay, I haven't read into that. Yeah. Because I saw like an article complaining like how stadiums are like filled with fully vaxxed, but restaurants weren't.
So they undid that. So that's why I was saying like we need like something in here to show us the news, because it was on it was all over CP24.
Okay.
But like, because they first aired on the news and then it makes it to social media, right? So it's like you hadn't heard about that, but that's all they kept talking about.
Well, I haven't really been on social media much.
Oh, okay.
It's generally on social media first, though.
No, but even on mine, like I didn't
on CP24 social media. I'm talking about on their.
I don't follow them.
Yeah, I follow them.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't been like on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Capacity limits.
Oh, okay.
Left in Ontario cinemas, spectator sports venues, and other spaces today.
Yeah. Starting today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they don't fill our seats. Remember, because we already booked them and there's like 2 spaces apart. So like, how are they going to do that? Because nobody's got individual, or maybe just going forward. Yeah,
maybe they might just do that going forward.
Like
actually, I don't know. Yeah,
because it's kind of weird. Because like, there's one gap in between our seats. So like, are they going to sell that one seat and then somebody can sit in between us?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they might. If it's just one seat, then they probably. If it's already been booked or not, right? Like,
yeah. Weird, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was. I feel like when I saw it yesterday, I was like, wow, things really do move fast within this pandemic. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to a couple things because.
I don't know if you would say moving fast. It didn't move fast.
No, but like there's like tomorrow, starting tomorrow, no
Oh,
more.
like the change.
The changes are super quick, you know. It's like,
Right.
you know, it's like we just
Instead of
heard
like
about
saying
that.
like next week.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like tomorrow you can have automatic
Right.
like filled
Mhm,
venues and
mhm.
stuff. I was like, oh, that's fast.
I think you know why? Because you know there was a time Ontario kind of messed up where they're like, okay, next week we can have restaurants opening,
Mhm.
and then people were already like the restaurant owners bought stuff to prepare for that, and then
yeah.
remember before that week started, oh, we can't open, actually we have to.
Right, yeah, I remember
And that really
And
messed people up,
'cause they're
right?
Like, we just bought all
Yeah,
of
exactly.
the food. What are we going to do with it?
That's because they did a week long, but then something happened in that week. So if you do it like a quick thing, it's a bit more better because it's like, okay,
Right, yeah.
like it's good to go. Like
But
at this point,
feels
it's good
so
to go.
jarring, though. You know, it's like...
No, but I think it's because of that. Like it like by saying, okay, next week we can have fully capacity.
Right.
But then if something happens like a shift and spike,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah.
You know
see
what I mean?
you're
Like
saying. Yeah,
that
totally.
also is a bad. I think it's more better to be this way than it's like, because you're like, instead of like you've already waited the week so that
the
you can tell,
anticipation.
you can see like, okay, the cases are pretty stable and kind of going down.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to be fully open. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
Like,
because
I think it's better
anticipation
to
may be
just
worse.
change it like that, and it'll take I would say like the rest of everything else to kind of shift slowly over.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
like
Yeah.
reaction would be slower, but it's just the action has already been done.
It's almost like ripping off a Band-Aid slow or fast. It's like...
Yeah. Yeah.
Get it over quickly.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But like, both ways suck, you know? But at the
Sure,
same
yeah,
time,
both
it's like-
ways. You gotta then like, you know, figure out a way to fix that, or like accept the change and make those changes happen relatively quickly. But,
yeah, unprecedented times. Like, that's why it's like...
Mm-hmm.
It's very odd. But okay, so I wanted to circle back on two things regarding the pandemic. So I kept mentioning CERB. Oh no, not CERB. UBI.
Yeah.
That was my big thing, right? I'm like, at the end of the pandemic, we're all gonna get UBI. Okay. And I said, like, if they don't do it, we're never gonna do it. And it looks like we're never gonna do it in our lifetime. Because, well, I mean, who knows? They might be like, oh, UBI, but like, because CERB is ending this month, right? And I've been watching it, and I'm like, if they don't extend it, then they'll never have UBI, because we lived through a time when you've actually mandated free money for everyone. What other time in the future are you going to do it again? Like, even if automation comes in, they'll just be like, yeah, but you can find a different job, or there's always going to be a reason. But you had like the best reason to continuously give out free money, and you're like taking it away now, and you're swapping it out with the good news of like, oh, we get to open, everything's coming back to normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're,
I
like,
think I
baiting and
read
switching,
somewhere where I don't know if it's fully true. Like,
and nobody cares anymore. There's
no,
like,
no,
oh,
like
yeah, we get to
like
open up.
we are the amount of jobs that have come back, or at least for that month or the quarter or something, is like pre-pandemic levels.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So all the jobs just jumped back.
I think, I don't quote me on it, but that was something like the headline that I saw. Yeah.
But like, what industry of jobs? Because remember, I was saying like restaurants have closed. So how are you going to get those people back? Like, those people they'll have to look for another job.
Yeah, no, I was saying that it's pre-pandemic levels when they said that. I didn't read the article. So.
Oh, okay.
But they're saying that where we're at, as of like, you know, unemployment thing, I think it was pre-pandemic levels.
Oh, really? So employment shot back up.
Yeah, like there was more jobs added, I think, last
Oh, okay. Interesting.
month or something.
Yeah, so there you go. So we're never getting UBI in our lifetime. I'm calling that right now. If they don't continue it after October, like, because I think the deadline for UBI CERB is October 26th or something like that. Like, so like the end of October, or October 20th. If he doesn't make an announcement about continuing it, I can't see another argument for UBI, because like, you had a full-on pandemic, you shut people down. The primary case for UBI is because of automation, right?
Yeah, but even then, I don't.
That's
Everyone,
Even if there's automation,
like
people
as
just
I
shift it.
look more into it, I just, you know, they've been always talking about this job or that job being taken away by automation. There's always new jobs.
Yeah. So I think
there's always something else. It's just it continuously happening, right?
Yeah. So I
just don't think a UBI is gonna happen.
Yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, because like I think they were banking on like the vaccine working and like jumping back to normal, and then you can like remarket to everyone, because like marketing is really like however you position that. So okay, you said you saw the article with the headline of jobs are back, right? So it's like, but if you read more into it, it's like what jobs. So if you're super analytical about it, it might be a whole new industry of jobs. It's not like the old jobs that were there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if you position that to the people being like, oh, jobs are back, no need for CERB, no need for UBI, then the general public will be like, oh, I guess we didn't need that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the need isn't there because the marketing for the need isn't there. They're just shifting from like unemployment to like this new employment, the fact that everyone's vaccinated, the fact that things are opening back. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of shifting focus away from the necessity of UBI. Yeah, what do you use?
I'm just trying to find it. See if I can find it.
Oh, which one? The article that you saw?
Yeah, but I don't remember how long ago it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So too bad about that. The other thing that I was saying is, remember we were talking about being fired?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, there's no way. They just fired a bunch of people.
Yeah, like it'll go through the unions, right?
But they still got fired. So it's like you really kick people out.
Like, again, I think these are public sectors, right?
Transit too. Like yeah.
Public sectors.
Okay, but still, it's like, but still, like saying that it's not mandatory, but actually it is. You know what I mean? It's like that's a bit of a bait and switch too. It's like, oh no, it's totally optional to get vaccinated, but you won't have your job.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think I understand it.
No, I totally
kind of agree with it.
But we do agree with it. Like 8 out of 10 Ontarians agree with it, right? But fundamentally, it's very weird because it's like a totalitarian. It's
what I mean by hard. There's even though they're like fired or whatnot, there's like probably like severance they have to pay out.
Totally, yeah. But still,
like
and the fact that they're making it like even if you're working from home but you still work for the government, you're still
is that
forced.
right?
Yeah. That was the other thing. So it's not
because I think eventually they'll have to come back in, right?
I guess. But if you're work from home but you're not vaccinated but you still work for these sectors, you're fired.
Oh, like federal public sectors.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I think, I understand why they're doing that because these are like public positions.
Yeah.
Like
safety.
And it's like, well,
I get
it. I get it in the sense like it's like, well, as a government or policy thing, we want everyone to get vaccinated. So if we don't even have people vaccinated working,
it's like
that doesn't look good.
You're setting the standard. You're being the exemplar.
Yeah.
You're like, look, we did it.
Yeah.
So, but it's rough because he did say like that's not the Canadian way.
Yeah, but it seems like a lot of people did get it, right? So like the amount of people are being fired are very small portions,
super minimal. But like
but people are getting fired.
Yeah,
yes.
Which is like okay, we're here. Like you have to play along. And it just goes back to that whole idea of like people thinking they have individual power, but at the end of the day, it's really you don't have power. It's the government that has power. Remember we were saying old podcast,
I think treason. I was somebody. Where did I see that? Or it's like the people bring up it's freedom, it's Charter of Rights, like Canadian Charter of Rights or whatever, right? But it says, I think somewhere it says there, it's like if there's reasonable reasons where you can limit certain things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the wording is very like that. So it's like where you're using doctors' opinions about the pandemic and how we deal with it. That's a reasonable reason to
it's all loopholes, man.
There's a reasonable reason to, like, that's why it's like you can't really take them to court with these charter rights when it says reasonable reasons for like reducing. I don't want to say reducing freedoms, but it's like, there's like a vague terms that where it's like, well, they're using doctors. Or explaining like how do we stop or the spread of this pandemic. So this is the reasonable reason.
Totally.
It's not like you can't just make
It's really interesting with 20. You know the meme where it's like 2020 and then the 0 is like the virus emoji, and then it says 2021 and then the 1 is a injection emoji. It really did happen.
Mm-hmm.
We like.
It's the year of the vaccine.
The year of the vaccine, and it's like it's crazy because it's like when we started the implementation of the vaccine, it was like, oh, I don't want this, blah blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of it's like you really got to play along. I'm pretty sure if you circle back to the old podcast, we talked about how like you're gonna have to get it. You have no freedoms. Like this is what's like, it's the government supersedes individual rights.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they created the law of treason. You can't go against your country.
Right.
And if the country says we're all getting vaccinated, we're all getting vaccinated. Yeah.
Okay.
What's up? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I don't know what so I found the thing. It says September jobs gain gets labor market to pre-pandemic levels.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So the labor sector is pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, okay, see?
So not full recovery.
See? Marketing. It's like, oh, but we're bouncing back. It's really, you really have to like observe. Marketing is how you rule the nation. And yeah, that's basically it. Actually, marketing is how you rule people at the end of the day. Yeah. They say money, but it's like, but the idea of marketing is what makes you want the money. Because like, what's the difference between like the El Salvadorian dollar, which is actually Bitcoin now, and the Canadian dollar? It's like we perceive the Canadian dollar to be worth more. It's marketing, Economically, it is worth more because of the backing of it. But it's like if I offered you, do you want an El Salvadorian dollar or a $1 Canadian dollar? You'd be like, I'll take the Canadian dollar. Yeah. Because it's perceived to be more. It's like, it's marketing. Yeah. Marketing rules the
perceived
world.
To be more, sure. But it's like, we've accepted it as a society. Right.
Because you have to educate the consumer on what they really want versus what they think they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Anything else? Else with the article? I just skimming it. All right. So to connect, what I also found interesting, speaking of marketing in countries, I was listening to, I think it was RZA on the Lex Friedman podcast. And one thing that really stuck out to me was RZA was saying that we are the greatest nation, they're talking about America, the greatest nation on earth. And I was like, oh, dude, this is rhetoric. Like we always talk about, what makes like America's like number one because it's the economic trading ground, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wants like, they have the most military might. Everybody wants to be Americanized. Although there's a shift towards like Korean now, like K-pop was huge, remember?
Yeah.
And then now there's the Squid Games thing and like Parasite. Mm-hmm. Like everyone's jumping on this Korean bandwagon, It was so funny actually. Never mind. So Tara's sister, I was gonna say my fiance's sister, or I was gonna say like my sister-in-law, but that's weird. So Tara, that's how I caught myself. Tara's sister was like, oh, have you watched Squid Games? And I'm like, oh no, I haven't seen it yet. And she's like, yeah, it's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, have you seen Parasite? She's like, no, I haven't seen that. And I'm like, yeah, like if you're in like Asian culture, you'll know that like Korean stuff has always been weird. Like Parasite was like weird. If you watch like anime or like Japan, like they'll like cut off the arm and then there'll be like blood shooting, like it's just weird to Western audiences. Like this kind of stuff is like innovative because you haven't seen it before. But it's like if you've been brought up in it, you know, it's not weird. So I'm noticing that interesting shift between like Americanization to Koreanization now. Like everyone's on this like Korean.
It's been going on
now.
for a while, right?
It has been going on. Like if you look at,
I mean, K-pop was huge, right?
What is that freaking band? That, come on,
from the K-pop?
Yeah, so famous.
A band?
It was like NSYNC.
I don't really follow the music as much.
Oh, dude, they're so famous. They even had like McDonald's chicken nuggets.
Yeah. I don't know what they're called.
No, not B2K. Wow, I'm so sad. Can you just Google that real quick? It's gonna bother me. It's like famous Korean pop group. You're listening to this, you're screaming, "That's this! Come on, get with it!"
Pop band or group?
Group.
Group. Most famous. BTS.
Thank you. Behind the scenes, right? That's what I was thinking. B2K. All right, so BTS, right? So my sister was really into it. I'm like, you don't even know the words, bro. Like you're just listening to like some Korean stuff, and then,
well, that proves my point because I don't listen to words as much.
I listen to words, so I was like, what?
Well,
what
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think people like music for music.
Yeah, totally agree. But it's interesting because it started with BTS. That was like the crazy wave. Like everyone in high school, like my sister's friend's daughter, she's in high school. And she was in elementary school when it was coming out, and then my sister was buying her all this BTS stuff because like, and I was like, well, why do you like this Korean stuff? You know, it's like, oh, they're so in right now, whatever. And then like they had their McDonald's nuggets, and then Parasite won the Oscars. Yeah, and then after that, now Squid Games is becoming the most popular show on Netflix, right? And it's like you're seeing this shift towards Asia. Like we were saying before, you know, China might take over. We might be watching a whole power shift. You know, it's interesting. Like,
but China hasn't affected us culturally yet.
No, but like,
I know, as economically is different. I get it.
You know.
Yeah.
No, I was just like Asia's taking over.
Right.
Yeah. And so, okay, so to circle back on.
Well, yeah, we've been on Korean stuff for a long time, though, too,
That's
right?
what I mean, like,
even the Korean movies, remember the...
Yeah, zombie movie.
The zombie movie, yeah, like, but no.
The Man from Nowhere.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
That's long, yeah. They make amazing movies. That's why I was like, when Tara's sister was like, oh, have you seen Squid Games? I'm like, dude, they have amazing other movies, you know? Like, you're just entering into it now because like,
well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but I'm going to go back to the main point, which is marketing,
right?
And it's like RZA was saying we're the greatest country on earth, and I'm like, oh, that's just rhetoric. I'm sure Russia's telling the Russians that they're the greatest country on earth.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure the North Koreans are also saying the same thing.
Yes.
I'm sure China's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, it's indoctrination. Like RZA saying this and him believing it. It's like, are you the greatest country on earth? Remember that one show?
Yeah. We're not the number one on this. We're like, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Newsroom.
Newsroom, yeah. So if you want to Google that, it's like why America is the greatest country on earth. And then in that show, like the opening scene, he explains why they're not the greatest country. But it's the belief, right? It's the rhetoric that you're marketing to people to make them believe that like we're number one. But in reality, it's like, no, globalism's number one. Not actually, like, not a country, but like global economics is. And you're seeing that now with, you know, Squid Games. Yeah. Because like, how is this Korean show doing so well?
Because it's on Netflix.
Yeah, but there's been so many other things on Netflix. You know, why is
Netflix made?
But still, you know what I mean? It's like Good Girls is also Netflix made, so it's like,
is it Netflix made?
Yeah, it says Netflix original, but that could just mean like they're purchased. I'm not sure. Netflix original means it's made by Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Yeah, so it's Netflix made. Yeah, cultural shifts, very fascinating.
I mean, I do like that. I mean, I think people. I mean, I've always watched foreign movies.
Yeah, you have. Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that are really good. We've just only stuck to Hollywood.
That's what I mean. Globalization is number one, not a specific country. And you're seeing that now with the consumption of media.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where you get people. Because remember, I was saying like economically, like there might be a shift in tide between like China taking over as the economic superpower as opposed to America, but that doesn't affect us on an individual level. We won't see that actually play out,
right?
Because that's like their economic game. So we'll see like our gas prices go lower. We'll see like products being more expensive. But what it really hits you with is like media, because that's what everyone consumes.
Right.
And you're seeing that shift now. It's like everyone's all into Asian stuff now.
Yeah.
It's like,
How do you? How do you win?
The hearts and minds of people.
Yeah.
Media.
Culturally.
Yeah. Culture. Yeah. Culture. Like they say that, for the culture, and it's like, because that's what people really care about. Like, why is, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but Essentials, the hoodies, it's a brand name that's really popular. So, okay, we live in...
Sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Yeah, so it's really expensive. We live in North York, and it's predominantly Asian. And I look at Asian people for their style because they have, like, hordes of money. So they're always wearing, like, Balenciaga shoes. Now Essentials is a big thing. I think you buy it at like Nordstrom or something, but it's super expensive. But remember how like Thrasher was number one?
I don't know these things.
Okay.
I really don't really.
You can see who's ruling.
There's only one name that I know.
Which is?
I mean, only one brand I know.
Tesla?
No.
Oh.
Like for clothing. Uniqlo? Yeah.
But that's Asian too.
Yeah. So but that's the only one that I mean, I like them only because they have the fitting stuff, right? So
yeah, good quality products.
Yeah,
but that's the.
But I'm not gonna go anywhere else. I really don't go anywhere else.
No, I shopped at all the other places, and I'm like, Uniqlo's number one because it's tailored for our Asian bodies, which is like, which is funny because like you're Indian and I'm Filipino, but we're technically both Asian. It's like,
yeah.
Anyways, so
yeah, whoever made those continents.
Continents, yeah. Global politics, but like, see, even in our fashion sense now, it's like you're seeing the culture shift towards more of what Asian people wear. Like Uniqlo is like number one, but Uniqlo is it's like a Tokyo brand or something like that. Is Bape, a bathing ape? No. Oh, all right. So it's like a.
I don't know anything of.
So it's a okay. So a bathing ape is this really like posh, expensive Asian brand, and then he created more consumer friendly Uniqlo so that other people can like take advantage, like have good quality products at affordable prices. Yeah. So like if you think about it, we might see a shift because like everything right now is like all about like in terms of like high fashion, everything's all about like things that are made in like Italy, things that are made in like France, you know what I mean, like think about like Louis Vuitton and all that stuff. So it would be really interesting to see these more Asian brands having like a rise and then influencing the rest of culture that way. Like for example, remember those like full-on body, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but like those full-on raincoats that like go from like or like winter coats.
Yeah. I know those.
Yeah. That are like from the top and they go all the way to your feet.
Yeah.
And like men started wearing them.
Yeah.
But and then it became fashionable to start wearing them. Oh, here, no. The most obvious example, fanny packs. So people like Joe Rogan, they're all like, oh, I wear fanny packs like around my waist, right? But if you go to Asia, everyone's got a fanny pack around their chest because it's like theft proof, so you don't get like robbed because you don't usually keep things inside your pockets. I remember when I went to like Philippines, like the first time back in like 2011 or something, and they all had fanny packs already, but then it missioned over to the West where now everyone's rocking that like like they don't call it a fanny pack, they call it like a crossbody.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wear them all the time, right?
Yeah.
So like that's like influence, that's like an Asian influence on culture. And maybe it'll be like that. It'll be like a really subtle shift where everyone's dressing Asian. Everyone's starting to like watch anime now. Everyone's starting, and like by de facto, that's how they rule as the best country in the world.
Yeah, I mean, fashion is one way. I feel like the
fashion's one way. Yeah. Then media, which is Squid Games.
Sure.
And then economically, what were you gonna say though?
No, I mean like the oldest one was food.
Food, yeah, that's true. Everyone's eating sushi now. It's like a big ticket item.
Yeah, like how big sushi is in general. It's like,
dude, at Korean chicken, everyone's all, remember Jared, like the best fried chicken is the fry. Yeah, that's a Korean fried chicken.
That's right.
I actually, dude, we're onto something. We're actually onto something. I was
in
Pickering Town
like,
Center.
I know, and then Jollibee, like that, how big that is, and
dude, there is a shift towards Asian culture right now. There, like, now that we're breaking it down, like, forget Squid Games. Think about fashion. Like all these like subtle fashion trends are becoming really big, which is like the crossbody, like we were saying. And then like food. You're seeing like a lot of Asian food permeate into the suburbs now, which is really trippy. Like we live in North York, so there's a lot of Asian food everywhere. But like when I go back to Port Union and stuff, and then in Pickering Town Center, they have like Korean fried chicken now in Pickering Town Center. I was like, what? And like, the owl that's right beside where we live. The owl, the 24-hour place.
Yeah.
There's one in Pickering now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I swear to God. And then the cha time, like the bubble tea. There's also in Pickering now. See, yeah, it's like this is how they're gonna take over. It's like economically, culture-wise, and media-wise. And we're watching the shift, the subtle shift, because like everyone's like consuming it now. Everyone's like, "Oh man, have you had bubble tea?" I was like, "Yeah, bro." Like what? It's like you're. But like you were saying, you watch a lot of foreign movies, so this has been here the whole time. It's just which is pushing into the, the limelight.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And these places stay open late, which is good.
Which is another thing. Actually, it's so funny. There was this one time. It's really weird. Like especially being Asian. So like, remember when we were kids? Like, pho. It's pronounced pho. Like pho was like really big. We'd always go.
Yeah.
Nobody ate pho back in the day.
Yeah.
I hated pho back in the day because it was like, ew, it was too many noodles. I'd rather have like McDonald's or something. I remember this one time we went to like Pho 88 and I walked out, got McDonald's burger and then ate it instead because I'm like, ew, like Asian food. I wasn't into it. But now like people are asking me like, have you had pho before? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm Asian, like, or like Simu Liu, the face of Marvel right now, which is like Shang-Chi, right? Yeah. Dude, I think we cracked the code.
Yeah.
Really think about that. It's like, that's pretty trippy. There is a huge push towards Asian culture right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, it's like the way
that it's a huge shift, but it's like, in the world of this hashtag, which was Stop Asian Hate.
Oh, you know what's funny? You're like Stop Asian Hate hashtag. Asian people, they don't focus on the noise, they focus on results. So it's like, that's cool, you want to do that hashtag, but like we're actually gonna subvert you and we're going to permeate your culture, through like everything that you consume. And it was already happening before because everything was made in China, right? All like the best like shirts, appliances, all made in China.
Yeah.
But it's like, but overtly, we are all still on Western things, right? Like think about it. We were on like hip hop culture, like Hollywood movies, big blockbusters. Yeah. Like that was the big thing. And then now all of a sudden, like, but if you really look at it like in fast forward, you kind of saw it happening. Like Pharrell Williams, he was really into Japanese culture. He was bringing that over. Like a lot of
it seems
these, like,
to
rappers,
be it seems to be people who were influenced in their from their childhood, what they were watching, animes or reading mangas.
Yeah,
like
right,
we are the generation that's coming out of that, and you see that as the more of a push now.
True.
So it started young.
That's true. Yeah, for sure. Because when I said bape, right, a bathing ape, that was only made popular in the US. It was like a predominantly Japanese brand. Pharrell Williams brought it over because he was like, this is so cool.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, all of our interests now catching up with us.
Yeah. Well, in going back to what Riza, like, to make America great, or the greatest country, is, I think that you can bring these new things in.
Oh, and they'll be assimilated by people, like they'll be adopted.
Yeah.
True. Okay, so it's still the economic playing ground because that's where people buy everything.
Because, I mean, like, if you really think about it, like, I can get any kind of food that I want.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because if you go to those countries, it's like predominantly only one type of food. Yeah, and it'll be hard to find other types of food, or it's like, are they trusted places too, right? It's like, true. Wow, what a anthropological, sociological exploration of, like, yeah, because I guess, like, the West is really just the melting pot, or the mosaic, whichever, kids melting pot, mosaic, whichever one you want to call it, of, like, culture. And it's almost like it's almost like the UFC, you know, because like, you have all these fighting styles around the world, all these people representing things, but they come to this one area to demonstrate their,
right.
You know,
I think that's what, culture. I think that's what Canada, America is, because these nations are, you know, basically made by immigrants, like European immigrants, Asian immigrants, you know, African Americans. Like, it's just that. It's not a specific race.
Oh, dude, that is so trippy. Oh, and then, but if you look at it, the Westerners, like the colonials, the Europeans, they thought they were the foundation of it all. But it's like, now it's shifting because immigrants are now taking over. Like, they're like, Chinese are buying up land.
The Europeans were the immigrants, right? Like,
they were immigrants.
They were just the first ones.
Yeah, well, true.
I mean, first ones to come, but they were, you know, natives already here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, as the more immigrant population rises, you're going to see more of a mix.
Dude, you know what's really freaking trippy? Maybe Western culture, Western society is really just like a flux and flow of different popular cultures over time. So, like, in the beginning of it, when Native Americans were here, it was like Native American culture, number one. Then Europeans came. Then it became European culture. It became number one, right? You see a lot of French architecture. You see, like, a lot of Western, like, European influence, right? And then all of a sudden, hip hop took over. Now the African Americans are, like, having their time, and, like, everyone wants it. And now we're seeing a transition towards Asian now. I wonder what the next one's going to be. That's pretty interesting, right? Because, like, not all are Asians, like, predominantly Korean is taking over right now. But, like, even the tattoo art, like, to go to the base level, tattoo artists, the number one tattoo artists, if you're looking for quality, they're all Korean. Right. Swear to God, like, I'm huge into, like, the tattoo thing because, you know, like, it's my new phase, like, you know, and, like, all of the best artists are Korean. They do the craziest realism, you know, and they specialize in it. Yeah, Korean culture is really, that's what's in the limelight right now. And then what's going to be next? Like,
like, to be more specific with the Asian side, Korean.
Yeah. Trippy. So that is probably why it is, I wouldn't say the best, but it is the most eclectic. It is like the commercial ground of the entire world. Yeah. Cool. All right, I'm running out of time because I go jiu-jitsu. But I want to talk about, let me talk about, I'll save Halo for next time because we haven't played it yet. The Halo Infinite looks really good. Save it next time. Spoiler alert, they think it's the best Halo ever. Halo 5 is really good. We'll get into it. All right, so speaking of fashion, I just want to quickly get into this before we get into the big outage. I'm really into watches now.
Okay.
All right, so, well, I've always been into watches, but I didn't really understand the difference of watches. Like, when I was younger, I thought it was just brands. So, like, watches are all about brands. I thought that's what separated them. Okay. And then I got into the idea. So this only hit me last night because of my new watch, automatic watches. So I had an. Okay, you probably don't know the difference between automatic and quartz watches. So a quartz watch is a battery powered watch.
Okay.
So it uses a battery in order to run itself. An automatic watch uses mechanisms and the movement of your hand in order to power itself. So you don't need a battery.
Yeah.
Okay. So I realized that the reason why watches get so expensive, just like handbags, is because of the quality of the make. Like watches are just like handbags because you don't need an external battery for it. Right. If you go into the cheaper end, you're going to need a battery. And then that's when, like people are like, oh, my battery died. I have to go get it replaced. Yeah. But if you have like a real quality watch, like let's say a Rolex, an Omega, I have this Tissot now. It's all like generated by itself. And that's why watches carry out over time. So you can get like an old, people are like, oh, this watch is from like the 1960s. And I used to think like, oh, wow, how did they have the battery power of 2020 to power the 1960s watch? I was like, how does that work? Right. But it runs on its own.
Right.
And it's almost like all right, this is for my own sake of like saying this to you, because I just found it really interesting. But like that watches, we think of them as timepieces, like time, like for keeping time. But if you really just want to keep time, get a digital watch.
Yeah.
Right. Because like that's the most accurate time you'll get, because that's like syncing with the world time. Right. But if you want like an actual, like a hand, like why does one watch differentiate from another? It's simply because it can stand on its own, just like a handbag. You don't need any additional things to it.
Right.
Yeah. Fascinating. All right. Anyways. So final thing, the big push this week. Oh, the big event that happened this week is the outage of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. They're all owned by the same people.
And Oculus.
Oculus was out too?
Yeah, it's all owned by Facebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So isn't that really, like, it seemed like a hacker might have done it, but what it turned out was like an update or something you were saying?
Yeah, it was like a router issue, configuration issue of a new router or something like that.
Okay. So just like an update or whatever.
Yeah. And that the reason it took so long to get it fixed, because it couldn't be fixed remotely. You had to physically go to the data center to get that fixed.
Sounds so archaic. In this remote world. But
remote world, yeah.
So circling back to, I love circling back. That's become my like phrase for this whole podcast. Going back to Skyfall, that's exactly what happened. Technology brought about the demise of society, because we were all down. Whole nations that use WhatsApp, they're for their businesses. They were screwed over. Yeah, it was like a huge thing on the news. Like, you brought down an economy because the reliance on that technology is so heavy, And then I saw this thing, like AOC was talking about how like this is why we need to break things up and like make them government regulated. I'm like, but this is a tech error.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you mean? It's not actually about the dominance of a country. It's just like a tech error in the midst of an update. Like, what would, if you hand it over to the government, how would that make it any better? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they going to have better tech forces? I don't think so. Are they going to have better regulations? How can you create regulations on things that, like, you need the best performers to help, like the best tech coders to help you solve this issue going forward, right?
Well, she's just saying like that because they have so many different things, that it's because it all affected all these different apps.
Yeah, so, something like that, and it should be like governed by like the government, like make it a utility, like gas.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I know, it's like,
but that makes no sense, because like if you want the best coders, you need to pay them a really good price, and that's only available in the private sector. If you make it public, there's going to be a cap. There's always a cap, right? So it's like, I don't understand how, like, you're comparing apples to oranges here. You know what I mean? It's like the one thing has nothing to do with the other. If you made it government regulated, how would that fix anything?
I don't know what yeah, I don't understand what she's trying to say exactly. Like,
there's just a big push between like tech giants right now. Everybody wants to regulate social media, and it's like, I don't see how.
Wasn't there something happened the next day? Wasn't there like a Facebook whistleblower or something?
Said that they focus on cheap results, like safety and security is not number one. Yeah, I saw that too.
It profits over safety or something.
But it's like, that's with everything, bro.
That's with everything. Yeah, any business is like that.
Yeah, so like, how is making it a utility going to fix that? It's almost like you've made such a great product that...
I think they were talking more about like kids.
What do you mean?
Like the safety of kids.
Oh, the headline I read was just about like...
Yeah, I think they were specific. Safety. I think it was like more like because it's how they're controlling kids' minds. Like,
okay, well,
whatever. Yeah,
going back to the whole idea of making it a utility, it's like that doesn't seem like it would solve the problem. So then what are you...
Yeah, I mean, she's just taking anything that happened as a way to, kind of push her cause or something.
Right. It's like how she went to the Met Gala and it was like $35,000 a ticket. You helped support high-end people, but you wore this like tax the rich shirt. So it's like hypocritical.
Yeah, that's why they kind of...
Yeah. But if you go back to the podcast where we talked about it, it's like, no, who wouldn't want to go to that event? Of course.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, there's a
but you have to see
certain persona you're doing, but you also want to enjoy life. It's
right. So it's like let me use Instagram and Facebook in order to harp on Instagram and Facebook. It's like, what? Like biting the hand that feeds, the hypocrisy of it all makes no sense to me. It's like choose a side and get off social media if you think it should be a utility and like you hate it so much.
Well, she only represents that sector of where she got voted for. Like, that's not all of America.
Right, I know, but like, it's a loud minority again, right? Like, people like...
Yeah, they give her the attention. If you give her the attention, that's the thing.
But it's like...
I mean, we're kind of giving her the attention too.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, we're doing it away... Like, I love what she represents, but at the same time, we have to really look at objectivity here.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's nothing wrong with... I agree with some certain things, but it's also like, you have to look at the whole picture too. Like America's like not just...
You can't just look at it as painted in one perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what do you call like Medicare for all or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
Like she ran on that or something. Sure, she won in her area. But like when Democrats won in Alabama, they did not run on Medicare for all because it's not going to work for
really?
those their population of voters.
Yeah, what a messy. It goes back to like marketing rules countries though, because like
that's what it's like. Like majority of America is not for Medicare for all in that sense, right?
Right.
Or socialism, their version of socialism, healthcare or something.
Yeah. And breaking up these like well-performing companies, it's weird because it makes you also worry about becoming too good. So it's like, why? It also sends a signal to people. It's like, if I become too successful, is the government just going to take me over? Right? It's like, is Netflix going to become a commodity next? Like because we all use Netflix.
Yeah, I just don't think...
Like, when do you draw the line?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to ever happen in America.
Making social media utility?
Yeah.
And how can you even do that across nations? Because legalities change when you change countries. So it's like, sure, we'll be a utility here, but then in Venezuela, we'll not be a utility. You know what I mean? It's like... I don't know. I feel like we were creating like this entangled web that nobody really has a full understanding of. Like as we build society, we're creating more and more tangled webs.
Yeah.
That like, and then people are just like saying things. I mean, we're even saying things right now, but like, it's like nobody really understands the big picture. And that's what it seems like to me.
I don't think nobody does. Yeah. Like nobody does. We're doing a one step at a time thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's like,
Yeah.
but as we continue to grow, we're creating more and more of a tangled web.
Yeah, so we're trying to solve things one thing at a time. When you solve one thing, there's another 100 issues.
Chain effect.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, the way we're resolving things are much slower than the amount of changes that are happening.
Yeah, totally. You're seeing that with the pandemic too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, weird. Weird that. Do you think they'll
Like that's why it's like I don't understand conspiracy theorists where it's like nobody like understands the full picture of what's exactly happening.
Oh, yeah,
like it's not like controlled by this one crazy person or something like that, right? It's like
because how could it be?
It can't be.
It makes no sense how it would be.
Like, that seems more impossible.
That one person's running the show. No. It's like if you really look at it, it's a bunch of confused humans trying to make things work.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of humans trying to make decisions, and things happen that we don't anticipate.
Yeah,
that we try to fix from, or
that's and then the people arguing one side over the other. There's always like positive and negatives to both sides. It's like we don't look at that.
Yeah,
it's almost like you can't be objective and be a politician as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because
it's
you can't, because a politician is dedicated to arguing one side, but to be objective you need to be able to argue both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't even look at the other side. Yeah, all right, I guess that's where we'll end it. Because it makes it seems so hypocritical to me to attack social media when you're using social media.
Mm-hmm.
You can attack it, which is what I do sometimes, but I also talk about how good it is at the same time. So it's like, because there's good and bads to both sides,
Yeah.
It's not black and white, but I feel like to be a politician you need to make things black and white, because you're trying to rally your horde.
It's
it's like, vote for me, we're all gonna get this done together.
Black and white makes things simple.
But
it's not simple.
I wonder if we'll ever get to a point where a politician will be super objective. But I think for a politician to be super objective, he won't get any votes, or she won't get any votes, or they won't get any votes. Okay. Because if you're being fully objective, you need your followers to be objective too. And a lot of people aren't thinking objectively. They're just going about their day to day as like, this is what we're doing next.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, think on that. Anything else?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right. So next week, Bond, we'll talk about it, and I guess we'll see. Maybe they will be setting up that girl to be the new Bond in the series.
We'll see. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Pro tip: Tuesday, if you're in Pickering, the VIP is like $12. Just hit that up. That's what we're doing. All right. So next time, take it easy, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.